Time for our morning cuddle. Right? Say good morning. Would you like your morning cuddle? Yeah, were you just outside? Show everybody your t-shirt. Oops. There she is. She's in her t-shirt. Come here, pup. Come here. I'll cuddle you. Come here. Come here. Yeah. Oh. Good morning. Good morning, you rascal dog. Nobody can see you. All we can see is our living room. Come here. Come here. Come here. Yeah. 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 Yes, you are. You and your t-shirt. I'll tell them all about your t-shirt. Yeah. 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 All right. I'm going to do my podcast now, okay? All right. You be good if you can. More of me in the sun, less of me in the sun. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that doesn't work. I don't know. Oh, we'll just go with this lighting. Hello, welcome to the Flame and Fiber podcast. My name is Barbara. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Diva S. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the new subscribers. Welcome to all you who have joined me before. Thank you so much. And it's morning. Ooh, and I didn't actually mean to, but I've saved my first sip of coffee for you. That first sip of coffee in the morning. So it is morning. It's actually early-ish. I've been getting up later and later all the time, which I'm not a huge fan of, but that's the way I have been. Well, I've been staying up too late, and then I'm sometimes not sleeping well. I guess that's what you talk about first thing in the morning, right? How you slept and, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I slept fine last night, which was really nice. This is a knitting podcast in case it's hard to tell. So I'll talk about some knitting because I finished my night shift and it's going to be really hard to show you it because it's really big. It's a giant triangle. Let me see if this will work. It's a giant, oh no, I have a wall right behind me. I don't know why I think that's going to work. It's a giant triangle. It's supposed to be, oh, and I haven't woven in my ends yet, so there are tons of them. It's supposed to be an asymmetrical triangle, but I kept going a little bit, and I think I made it a little more symmetrical. But you start at the corner, and you just go, 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 go. And this is all made out of my hand spun, most of which I cannot give you any information. But I am so excited by how it turned out. I really, really am loving it. When I was doing it, after I put this purple in, I thought the purple was a little bit too bright, and because everything else is a little muted. And then it got this bright purple stripe, but I am actually quite happy with it because it turns out the red coming up has stuff going on. So anyway, this is the Night Shift shawl by Andrea Mallory. The pattern was a birthday present from the Mean Girls. Thank you, ladies. And I used all my hand spun. Now I had a cupboard of hand spun. I have made some things from my hand spun. I have made 3 shawls. I've made a couple of hats. But otherwise, it was sitting in a cupboard. Now I haven't spun in quite a while. I have done very little spinning since we got Purl. I used to spin in the living room and had my spinning wheel in the living room, and my dogs never bothered it. But then we got Pearly Girl, Purl the rascal dog. She was a puppy, and she was a chewer, and she was a mouthy thing. She's still kind of a mouthy thing, but now she's calmer. So I probably could bring the spinning wheel back downstairs. But last fall, I bought an electric eel spinner, and I did spin one skein of yarn on that when I was trying it out. And that's all the spinning I've done in practically in almost 2 years now. Because Purl turned 2 in March, and we got her in May. So it'll be 2 years. So I think I just got out of the habit of spinning, and I want to get back into it. I have a huge cupboard full of beautiful fiber. And no excuses, because I have an electric eel now. But the color, so I was running out of colors, and obviously I didn't follow the pattern exactly in terms, well, I didn't follow the pattern exactly. In terms of how the colors, you do the colors and everything, because she specified, you know, you have 6 colors. Yeah, 6. F, goes to F, that's 6, right? So you have 6 colors, and then she, you know, you put all the colors together this way for this long, and, you know, and then you do this and you do this. Well, that didn't work for me because I had more than 6 colors, and I didn't have enough of a lot of the colors. So, you know, I was kind of winging it. And this first part, all the way to here, the base color is all one yarn from here to here. Now, it starts out kind of brown, and then, you know, kind of tanny, and then it goes to brown, and then it goes to kind of a mauve, but that's all one yarn. So this shawl has a lot more definition, you know, like melding of colors than a lot of them are going to, just because being hand spun, and since, you know, you see those braids, they're so beautiful, but they have all these colors in them, you end up with yarn that has lots of different colors in it. So there are probably 7 different yarns in here, but it looks like many more because most of the yarns have that change of color in them. But when you look at Andrea Mowry's night shift shawl that she has on her thing, I don't think she followed her own pattern. I don't think that the yarn, when I look at those yarns, it doesn't look to me like 8 different yarns done the way she did it. It just doesn't. But I could be wrong, because she could be using, you know, but she was using commercial yarn, or not commercial, I don't think, but a big name, indie dyer, who's probably not dyeing yarn that turns out like mine, because I don't think people would like that so much. I mean, well, maybe they would. I don't know what I'm saying. I just looked at Andrea Mowry's night shift shawl and thought, I don't think she's doing everything she's telling us to do. That's all. I think she's doing her yarn a little differently. I think she just, you know, winged it. I think she winged it. And then went back and gave some instructions. Anyway, I am so tickled with how it turned out. I saw a night shift on Instagram, and I don't remember who it was I was following, who just finished their night shift. And you could really see the stripes, because she used, you know, very contrasting yarns, and the yarns were, you know, tonals. And so you could, hers looks very striped in a very obvious way. And Andrea Mowry's does not look like that at all. Hers looks a lot like mine, actually. Hers looks like mine. Mine doesn't look like hers. Hers looks like... But anyway, I am just... This is my favorite end, I will admit. But this beige here, that's the background here, and goes in to be the dots up here, is the skein of yarn that I spun last fall. And I had forgotten about it because, you know, my messy room and everything. It wasn't in my bin because, of course, if everything were where it was supposed to be, then it wouldn't be a messy room. It was still on the table where I was podcasting. You know, you throw everything there, and then you don't put it away, and it accumulates. I mean, and I finished that in the fall. I'm sure it was in December. At least, because I think I got the electric eel in November, and I'm pretty sure I spun something right away. Anyway, so the thing about this shawl is it's huge, and it's supposed to be worsted weight. Now, that's the other thing about my yarns. They were all different weights. None of them were fingering weight. They were all bigger than fingering weight, but they were all different. And you can tell, like, between here, the background, this is one of the first yarns that I made. This beige, that's the background of this. And I spun this on a drop spindle, and it was a loop bat. And it had this maroony color in it and stuff, and that's why I really liked it. You know, I didn't love the yarn that I got from it, to tell you the truth. I liked it better as a fiber. But, I mean, I liked it because it turned out to be yarn, and it was my first yarn. And I made it on my drop spindle. Well, it's pretty... It's knit up nicely. You know, I guess when you knit, you untwist your yarn a little bit, and that was good because this was overspun. And, why was I talking? Oh, because of the weight of the yarn. So that was probably a DK, this first yarn. But then the next yarn that is the background color is this blue. I mean, since I still have my ends, you can see, I mean, the difference in weight of these yarns is pretty significant. Now, and then here's the, so, you know, it's a hodgepodge, and it worked out great. And the thing, if you're a hand spinner, especially if you're a new spinner and you haven't started knitting with your yarn, because you're afraid of what it's going to turn out like, when you knit up your yarn, it knits up beautifully, and all those flaws that you see in your yarn, they're not there when you knit with it. It all works out. You should knit with it. You should knit with it. Don't leave it on a shelf like me. Or make a night shift, because I am so tickled with this. But anyway, you can kind of see the difference. I don't know if you can see the difference, and all of a sudden it's a lot plumper right here. And I wouldn't be surprised if I have a, you know, like a, yeah, I do, like a little lump in the side of my shawl there, because my yarn got thicker suddenly, and it mostly stayed thicker, although that my last one wasn't quite as thick as some of these in the middle. Anyway, I'm really tickled with it. But this is a huge shawl, and she wears it around her neck like a, you know, but I mean, really. Now, I will admit that I went a little longer than her, but not tons. So this is not something fell behind me. My pepper grinder fell over. We had to move it off. I moved it off the table because Dennis had... I moved my giant pepper grinder off the table because Dennis had to dry out his sleeping bag. You know, it's hard. Some things are hard to explain. I will not be wearing this shawl as a, you know, in the bandana style. It just won't be happening. This shawl, and I am going to weave in the ends, probably, is going to be my chair shawl for the winter. It's thick and cozy and so squishy. And, you know, sometimes when I'm sitting in my chair over there, knitting or doing whatever I'm doing, and I'm chilly in the winter, I need something to wrap around my neck and my shoulders. And this is going to be it. Unless, you know, during the polar vortex that my coat isn't enough, I could throw this over my coat and that would work too. You know, like in the old days, women wore shawls on the outside of their coats. This would be like an outside of the coat shawl. I don't have, my coats aren't big enough for this to be an inside of the coat shawl. That would just take up too much room. But anyway, it is so squishy and it's going to be so warm. And I am so tickled with it. This is the other side if you want to know what it looks like. I'm not a huge fan of shawls that have an obvious front and back to them. But this is mosaic knitting, so it's going to have an obvious front and back. And I knew that. But, oh my gosh, I'm so tickled with it. So this is my Night Shift by Andrea Mowry in my handspun. And you've seen some of this handspun on the podcast. Boy, you must not have seen too much of it though, because we must have got Purl. I've only been doing this 2.5 years, so 6 months of handspun. And I was doing a sweater spin when I stopped spinning. I still have half a skein to ply. It's been sitting there waiting to for me to finish plying it for almost 2 years. That's crazy. My plan was to make a breathing space. I didn't use any of that breathing space yarn for this, so I still plan to make a breathing space. And I'm working my way back to spinning. I'm working my way back to a lot of things. I've been feeling kind of out of sorts. And it's, you know, well, if you've been watching, every time I podcast, oh, I'm feeling better. You know, I feel okay. It's not that I don't feel okay, but I'm a little bit in a slump. I'm feeling like a little bit in a slump. I think it's Jason's fault. He took my grandchildren to Florida in July, and I've been out of sorts ever since. I can't be out of sorts in my normal life all the time. I gotta shake it off, girl. Anyway, I actually haven't been doing a lot of knitting. I've been reading. I've been reading and feeling like hibernating kind of reading. So it hasn't even been necessarily reading that I would, you know, like recommend these great things, you know, that I've been reading because, you know, I've been finding stuff that's, you know, old series of thrillers and, you know, things like, I don't know. Do you want to hear about the thrillers I'm reading? I'm reading The Gray Man. Thrillers. I like me a nice revenge novel, you know. So give me a spy who's been like burned, you know, and then he goes and gets all the guys who, you know. I don't know what that says about me. I really don't. They're not that easy to find. You know, like Bourne. And actually I love the Bourne movies. I own the first 3 Bourne movies. Bourne Identity and I watch them. I like, well, Matt Damon. Who, you know, why not? But it occurred to me that maybe I should read the books because, you know, he's my kind of guy. Superman, you know, little Superman-y. Anyway, so I have oh, I'm so sorry about the wiggling. I really only have one work in progress that I consider a work in progress because the other thing that I worked on, because I've been a little, you know, is my blanket. Now, I know, blankets can be boring because I can't tell you anything about the yarn. My blanket is coming along so nicely. It is getting really big. It is already big enough to be like a couch a couch blanket for one person. And, you know, I mean, here's the short side, which is, oh, I wonder what my wingspan is, because it is exactly my wingspan. That's the short side. When I cast it on using Attic 24's recipe, I cast on 300 and something, not much more than 300, chained. This is crochet. This is my crochet. This is it. This is the only crochet I've ever done. So that's how long it is. That's the wide part. And then the not wide part is my wingspan, which is, you know, I have no idea. Your wingspan is it's probably 5 feet. My wingspan is probably 5 feet. That's my guess. So it's a very nice size at the moment, but I don't know what I'm doing with this. I'm just making it, you know, so it's not like I'm trying to have a blanket for my guest bed, or, you know, because Dennis and I don't sit on the couch and, you know, snuggle under a blanket ever. So I don't see any need for a multiple person TV blanket. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing, but I've added a bunch to it, and it is very nice. And this is how I leave it, and then I throw it on my couch. So I finished this yellowy thread, and I put a thing in and I throw it on the couch so you can use it while I'm making it. You know, this isn't in a basket somewhere. This lives on my couch. And I have the yarn not too far from me. And when I want to do it, I just take a mini that I have in my cupboard, and I grab my blanket off the couch, and I add more. And that's what I did. So anyway, my blanket is turning out really nice too. And, you know, very similar to my shawl in a way. The shawl is very similar to that blanket in a way. And so this was a lot of knitting, and so this is what I did. I had just started this in my last podcast. And so the only other thing is I've just started a new project. One of these days I will do a whip show, a whip episode about all my whips, because I have whips. I'm collecting whips now that I'm not working on. Didn't used to do that. You know, there was a time when it wouldn't have been possible for me to do like, what do I do with this whip show? Now I have to go and find them all, because now I'm starting to have trouble finding the right needle when I want a project, which means that I have way too many of my needles. And I own 5 interchangeable sets of needles. I have the Licca needles, which I really like. I have the Chow Goose interchangeables. I have Addie lace interchangeables. I have Knit Pride wooden interchangeables, and I have Addie Click interchangeables. Like the whole big set. And the first ones I go to are the Liccas. You know, when I wanted to do this, start this project, no, you know, either I don't have the needle or I don't have a cord that works, you know. And I have picked up a few extra cords for some of them. Anyway, it's an indication to me that I have too many whips, because I'm sometimes having trouble finding a needle for my project that I want to start. To the degree that this new project I'm doing on my Addy Clicks, which are absolutely my least favorite needle of all my interchangeables. And because they are very dull, very dull. Let me go put my finger in front of that so you can see it. Very dull. And I might have to look harder because they're driving me crazy. I haven't gotten very far. And so I haven't even told you what I'm making. A hint, you know, just teasing you. For my birthday, the lovely Leslie sent me a pattern. My birthday was in March, and I got two lovely patterns for my birthday. And Leslie sent me Vitamin D by Heidi Kiermaier, and I have started it. And so when I got this, I said, oh, let me go look for some yarn in my stash, because of course oh shoot. I forgot to pick a winner, but I'm going to do that. I'll announce it at the end because we have prizes to give. I don't know what they are, but we have prizes to give. So I said, because I'm not buying new yarn this year, so I'm shopping in my stash, and I have plenty of, you know, sweaters quantities of yarn, which is why I'm not buying any yarn this year. So I said, oh, let me go look at my stash and see what I'm going to make this with. And I found the yarn that I wanted to make this with, and then I discovered this was on my queue, and I had assigned that same yarn to making it. So obviously this is the yarn that I want to make it. I am making it with yarn that I bought at Rhinebeck in 2017, and I remember going in this booth with the Knit Girls. We were together at that moment, and it is Brook Farm yarns from Lancaster, Texas. In Pennsylvania, we pronounce that Lancaster, but it's very possible it's Lancaster in Texas. So it's one or the other, Lancaster or Lancaster. And it is a silk wool single. Yeah, because of course, why wouldn't you just assume that, oh, let me make my sweater out of a single ply yarn, because that's a great idea. But it's nice. 50-50, 50% silk, solo silk, 50% wool, and they don't talk about what kind of wool it is. And it doesn't have a color on there. But this is the yarn that I am using. Isn't that pretty? So I did a swatch in the size needle that they recommend, which is a 4. This is a sport weight yarn. And they recommend a 4, and I thought, well, I like the drape, and I like it because it's open, and this is a bracelet sleeve length. I'm not going to make bracelet length sleeves. To me, bracelet length sleeves just look like they're too short. That looks like you ran out of yarn. It's not, to me, it's not even a length. I think somebody did run out of yarn, and that's how far and they said, oh, this is bracelet length. I mean, that's how I think that's how it came about, because, you know, I'm going to make 3/4, so it's going to be a little bit shorter. So it's going to be obvious that it wasn't supposed to be full length. And so you can see it's drapey, which it better be, 50% silk, and a little bit of a loose. And this was made with the suggested needle, but I did not get gauge. It's a 24 stitch by 32 rows for 4 inches, and I got 21 stitches by 30 rows, I think. So 24 stitches makes it bigger than the pattern expects. So I went down a size. So I'm going down one size. And what I'm doing is, because it's so flowy and open, I had thought about doing this size anyway at gauge, and then I thought, no, you know, I want it to be a little bit more. I looked at the pictures of some of the projects on Ravelry, and some of them look like they had a smaller, less cascadey front than others, and I liked the cascadey front, and I thought, well, that's probably just a different size. So I thought, well, I want to make it bigger rather than smaller, and I was kind of in between sizes, so I had decided, oh, I want to make bigger, but then when my gauge came out the way it did, I went smaller. So I think I'm going to end up with the size I want. We shall see. I just started. But I do have some of the holes. You can see the detail of this involves holes. So these Addy clicks, which have no point on them, I'm having trouble. I'm doing, you know, it's a raglan design, so of course you have make one left, make one right. You know, when you're struggling to do a make one right with your needle, then you know you need a new needle. But, you know, it's like, I'm outside, I can manage, I don't know if I have another needle, but, so I'm still on the Addy clicks. If I'm on the Addy clicks next podcast, I'm not going to complain because it's my own fault. But if there's anybody out there who likes Addy clicks, who wants to trade a interchangeable set of Addy clicks for something else, contact me. Because I'm happy to swap them, because I'm not a fan. But I mean, the click system is nice. You just put them on, they stay on. It's just that they just don't have. I suppose there's some yarns where it's good, you know, you want to have a duller needle, although I guess I don't know when that is. When do you want a dull needle? When you have really splitty yarn and you might split the yarn maybe? I don't know. With a sharper needle. Anyway, I'm really happy with how it's starting out. It's looking nice. I like the fabric. It's going to be soft with silk. And so here we go. A new sweater. Now, this is not typical for me because I actually got about the same far on another sweater. So I have a sweater on the needles that I am not working on. It's a DK sweater, and it will not be in the wardrobe circulation till next fall. This sweater, however, I am hoping to get it done before we go on our trip. Dennis and I have another big trip planned at the beginning of May. We leave May 3rd. Don't tell anybody. I don't want my house robbed. We are taking a Viking river cruise from St. Petersburg to Moscow, Russia. And I'm so excited. We've never done a Viking river cruise before. And this came about because a friend of mine was going on two friends of mine were going on a river cruise, Viking river cruise in Europe. And I was talking to Linda, and she said, well, Patty wants to go to St. Petersburg. But she's really disappointed because all the cruises to St. Petersburg go to Moscow, and she doesn't want to go to Moscow. And I'm sitting there thinking, I want to go to Moscow. St. Petersburg to Moscow. That sounds like a great trip. So we booked this trip. Dennis has always wanted to go to Russia. He you know, he's read all the Russian, you know, famous Russian classics and things like that. And so anyway, we are going to Russia at the beginning of May on a river boat. And it's going to be in the 50s if we're lucky. So I can be, you know, I'm taking my knitwear because it's going to be chilly. It's going to be chilly. So I'm hoping I can get this sweater done by the beginning of May, or close to done. Maybe I'll finish it on the plane. I don't know. I can block a sweater on the bed. Hope it dries. But there'll be a chair in there somewhere, right? So anyway, so that's what I'm hoping for. Except my knitting mojo is on the, you know, it was fun. It was fun to do this much. I sat out on the deck yesterday. It was kind of a lovely day. Not so lovely today. I think it's going to rain. But that's okay. I can sit in my chair and work on my sweater. There are some podcasts to watch. I'm behind on my podcasts. And work on my sweater. I think it'll be nice. That's my knitting. I know. It's pathetic. I thought about not doing a podcast. I'm like, what am I going to talk about? Of course, it's half an hour. I'm still talking, but you know how it is. It's a knitting podcast. If I'm not doing much knitting, who wants to talk? Who wants to hear about it? But I am excited about this yarn. I think Stephanie bought some yarn while we were in that booth. But I could be wrong. Maybe it was Rebecca. Maybe I'm the only one who bought it, but this yarn was on sale. I mean, it was reasonably priced anyway. It was $23 a skein to start with. And it was like 20% off if you bought 4 skeins, or 10% off if you bought 4 skeins. So I bought a sweater's quantity of silk wool singles. Maybe not the best plan, but it's going to make a lovely sweater. And it's very enjoyable to knit with. I have it in my bag that Connie gave me. Connie from Chili Knits that she made. Isn't that cute? I don't think she sells bags anymore. I think she used to, but I don't think she does anymore. Okay, so I was all done. I was like copying the files to my computer so I could start editing and all this stuff. And while I was doing that, I thought, you know what? Let me look for more needles for this sweater for my vitamin D. And I couldn't find my Haya Sharps. I said I had Addy Lace, not Addy Lace. Haya Sharps. So I was looking for my Haya Sharps, and I can picture in my mind that I have them in a bag, in a project bag. Big mistake, but I thought oh, it's a bag I took to my parents. I need to find it. I never found it. So I was going through my bags and came across this bag, butterfly bag from Crafty Toads. And in this bag, oh my gosh, and I don't even have the pattern. What the heck? In this bag, I found my Speckle and Pop. This is as far as I got. And it is on my size 4 Delica on a cord that's big enough for my sweater. I'm like, okay, fine. Great, I can use that. So I'm going to switch needles on mine because I am not like an Addy Clicks. So I put it on waste yarn because I wasn't ready to tear it out. So I thought, let me just put it on waste yarn. I'll take the needle. And I really like the colors that I have in this. So this is the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along Speckle and Pop from 2 years ago or whatever. I do not like that pattern. I am not going to make that pattern. And that was the last Stephen West Mystery Knit Along that I participated in because I didn't like it. And I'm not a fan of the doodler either, to tell you the truth. But I really like the way this part of it looks. It's when you put all that other stuff on it that I'm not. So the reason I didn't tear it out immediately is because I thought, you know what, if I just keep going, it'll be a beautiful scarf. Which is why I didn't tear it out. Now, I know I'm not going to knit this as a beautiful scarf. But I'm not really ready to tear it out. But I had such beautiful colors. Look at what I did, what I have in here. Aren't they pretty? They're a little blown out. There you go. Aren't they pretty? But I don't know. I'm not probably going to make it into a scarf. And then, so all these little stripes are all cut.
So when I take it apart, I'm going to have to make a little magic ball of these little stripes. Then I would put those in my blanket, and that'll be okay. But isn't this nice? I was so like, oh, too bad it turned out to be such an ugly shawl. Sorry, Stephen West. Sorry, those of you who love it. I don't love it. I don't love it, and I'm not going to make it. So anyway, here's one of my whips that I told you I had and I needed to think about. But I really like this yarn. What the heck is it? I have a feeling this is like, well, I know the minis are from Legacy Fiber Arts. From my first year, I had a advent with them, sort of, kind of an advent. And but I think these yarns, I have to go back, find the episode where I talked about these. I think these might be, I'm not sure. They might be from the Crafty Toads, from one of their clubs. I did lots of their clubs and have lots of their yarn, which I really like. So anyway, too bad this turned out to be a shawl that I didn't really want to end up knitting. And I just, but I wasn't ready to tear it out. It had such potential. But luckily I was way behind, and so when I saw where it was going, I was like, forget it. So anyway, there's one of my whips, but I left a note in there that I took out my size 4 Wicca, and now I will look forward to moving my vitamin D onto these needles. So that is it for the knitting. I am going to go pick some winners for our knit along. See, it's a little cool outside. Feels a little cool in here. I'll wear my shawl. So we, Leslie of Not Quite Enough Yarn, and thank you so much for that pattern, Leslie. I'm really looking forward to having that sweater. Leslie from Not Quite Enough Yarn, and I are having a Craft From Your Stash knit along this year. She's in her second no-buy yarn year, where she's very, very limiting herself on what yarn she can buy. She went to a yarn event and had already said she could get some yarn at that yarn event. So it's not 100% no-buy for her, but it may turn out to not be 100% no-buy for me either. I mean, if I came across some amazing yarn in Russia, I might have to buy it, because I am a knitter and, it's the best souvenir. The best souvenir. But I'm on a yarn no-buy year. I have an amazing stash of yarn that I want to knit. And I have to tell you, I am really enjoying shopping in my stash. I really am. And it's embarrassing that I'm finding stuff I didn't even know I had. I was a member of Yarn Box for a long time, so I got yarns in the mail that I didn't go and seek out, that came to me, and I've forgotten some of them that that didn't sort of sink in. Most of my yarns are on Ravelry, so when I'm searching for a yarn, they're there available to me. But when I'm digging in my bins, I'm like, oh. Anyway, I have some amazing yarns, and I'm really enjoying shopping from my stash. So I encourage that. And I have a big, like I said, cupboard full of fiber. So when I start spinning, I won't be buying fiber either, because I have lots of yummy fiber. And since I haven't spun in a couple years, it's, feels like it's kind of going to waste, which is maybe one of my giveaways will be fiber. Although that's a little trickier because not all of you are spinners, so I may have to come up with some way to know whether or not you want fiber rather than yarn as a prize. Or maybe I'll do some kind of fibery giveaway. But anyway, I'm picking winners from the FO thread and from the one from the chatter thread every quarter. And since it's April, I was supposed to pick at the end of March, but I forgot. And again, you know, forgetting is what I do because I forgot now, but that's all right. I'm going to pause and come back because I'm going to pick the winner. Now, my plan was to be more organized about this. I should have picked the winner last night and then gone through their Ravelry page and picked yarn from my stash that I thought they would like based on their stash or the finished objects in their Ravelry page, if you know, or what they knit. And I might just do that today. So I might be gone for longer between takes here than I thought, because you're going to want to see the prize. That's the fun part, right? You want to see the prize. But if I have to, you know, so it'll take me a little while to figure out what the prize is. And so I'll pick the winners for the prize and figure out what the yarn will be for the prize, because I'm pulling the prizes from my stash. And I'll be right back. Okay, the magic of video. I'm back. You didn't even miss me. So, I picked the winners for the first quarter drawing of the Craft From Your Stash, and that's StashCal2019 hashtag on Instagram and Ravelry. You should follow that tag. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it. Ooh, I have to post. I don't think I put StashCal on my post. You should do that. Drum roll, please. Okay. So, first I pulled from the FO thread, which is a no chat thread. So, and I noticed that there are some people who are posting, and they're posting more than one project in a post. You should be having a separate post for each one of your projects, because that gives you more chances to win. Because I'm just pulling a number between, this time it was between 2 and 319. And I picked 149, which was Rick Rack, Paula, from South Yorkshire in the UK. Hi, Paula! Thank you for posting your cute little hat. Paula makes hats and toys and things like that for charity, for hospitals and things. And so thank you, Paula. Rick Rack. So contact me with your, on Ravelry, with your name and your postal address, and I will send you your prize. And I read your description of yourself in Ravelry, and it says you like jewel tones, purple's your favorite color. I couldn't find a purple, but not green, so I found a not green. Actually, it was surprising how few jewel tones I have, and you use a lot of acrylic for charity work, and I gave my acrylic away, so I don't have that to send. Although I wonder if I took that bag. Depends on how big a box I find, I guess. But it also said that you're starting to make socks. Now, it's possible that you were starting to make socks when you first joined Ravelry and you filled out that, you know, description of yourself. Anyway, I believed you, and so I picked this for socks for you. It's a beautiful blue color. This is Mode Knit yarn, and it's 60% superwash merino, 30% bamboo, and 10% nylon. So I hope you like it. It is it says air dry, but it says it's superwash. So anyway, I hope you like this. I hope you're still making socks or have some use for this. If you don't and you want to trade this for something else with your friends, you know, I won't be offended if you don't keep it and you do something else that works better for you. But I thought it was a pretty color, and it's as jewelly as I get. I don't know, you know, well, I was looking for fingering for socks, so that's a pretty color. I must have gotten this in Yarn Box because Mode Knit Yarn. I don't know where I would have gotten that. Well, if I remember to take it out of my Ravelry stash, it might say where I got it. But it's awful pretty. And it has a nice sheen to it. That's the bamboo. Anyway, I hope you like it. And also that will include some stitch markers. I finally went out in the studio and made some more stitch markers. So there's one green one. There weren't enough if I didn't use the green. It's more like yellow. It's more yellowy. Oops. Teapot's done. So I hope you like these. So give me your postal address and I will mail those to the UK. South Yorkshire. I have no idea where South Yorkshire is. I could look it up. Anyway, thank you, Paula, for putting your things in our finished object thread. So I also pulled from the chatter thread, and the prize for the chatter thread will be a pattern that's giftable, so under $10 or less US. And the winner of that is Zoe. Number 3 got picked. Z-O-E-I, Zoe, who lives in Montreal, Canada. So Zoe, contact me and let me know what pattern you would like, and I will, from Ravelry, anything giftable from Ravelry, and I will send it to you. So thank you so much for participating in the craft along, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm loving seeing your projects, and thank you so much, ladies, for participating. So those are the prizes for the first quarter. The end of June, I will pick more. Pearl's walking around with her t-shirt on. Oh, got her snake from David. Oh, I didn't show you, speaking of gifts. This is my Tui mug. I got this as part of my Christmas exchange with Megan. Tui is a New Zealand bird, and Megan is a New Zealand bird too. Ha 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 ha. See what I did there? Okay, so that's all the knitting stuff going on and the craft along. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun to do this with Leslie, and I really am enjoying shopping from my stash, so I recommend it if you have a stash. If you don't, get one, and then you can shop from it. So Pearly Girl is in her t-shirt. She had to get her shots and things like that, and she had a little bump on her shoulder. So we talked to the doctor about it. It turned out it was, I'm not sure what, an inverted hair follicle, very strange thing that needed to be removed. So she has 4 stitches on her arm. And being the rascal dog that she is, well, the cone didn't work because the problem was it's hard for her to reach it with her mouth because of where it's placed. Her tongue can get there, but you know, the main problem was scratching it with her foot. So we ended up with a t-shirt, and this was a week and a half ago. Week ago Thursday. It's Sunday morning now. And so she had a t-shirt on until Wednesday, and she wasn't fussing with it, and we thought, okay, great, you know, so we took the t-shirt off, and the next day she tore out one of her stitches. So we took her back to the vet, put her t-shirt back on, took her back to the vet. He said it'll be okay, but she needs to keep her t-shirt on till. So she gets all her stitches out next Thursday. So, but that's why she is in her t-shirt. But while we had her under to do that, we asked him to take some x-rays. She's a German Shepherd, and German Shepherds are notorious for having bad hips. And there had been a couple of times where she had been limping. She slid on the icy, muddy stuff at the park, and then she came up and she was limping a little bit. And I was pretty sure it was because she slipped and hurt herself a little bit, and then she was fine. But she did it a couple of times over a month, and both times it was the same leg. And so we had some idea, you know, she might have hip problems, or who knows what's going on. So we asked the doctor to take x-rays. And he found a little little thing, like a bone chip, floating around in her left knee, which would explain, and if it got between the bones periodically, she'd be in pain or whatever, which made sense to us, and we could see it on the x-ray. So he said, that should be removed arthroscopically. And, here are two places to do it: the University of Pennsylvania Veterinary Hospital and someplace in Annapolis, Maryland. Now, we live in southeastern Pennsylvania. We're like the furthest western suburb of Philadelphia. People living further out than us aren't commuting to Philadelphia. So, we're going to Philadelphia is like a big deal for us because the traffic, especially taking the dog, and University of Pennsylvania is way downtown, right in Center City. And we're like, oh, we don't want to do that. But, Annapolis is a 4-hour drive. It's like, really? So anyway, I Googled and we found a place that was an hour away, but not in Center City. So we took her there and had the x-rays sent and everything, and we're like, arthroscopic surgery. Luckily, we finished our taxes, and we had paid too much tax, and so we were getting some back. And we're like, okay, well, that'll pay for the surgery for the dog. So we went to see this surgeon, and she said, nope, this is perfectly normal. It's a normal something. She named it, which I don't remember what it was. I'm like, oh, hallelujah. So all it was a little inconvenient. We took her an hour each way, and she went to another vet who was lovely, and they told us she was perfect and her leg was fine, and maybe she has a little tear on her CCL, but probably, anyway, she's fine. She doesn't have to have arthroscopic surgery, which was very good news. And now she has to wear that stupid t-shirt until Thursday because she tore out her stitch. But after that, it'll be fine. She hasn't been able to go to the park the whole time either because she'll go in the creek. So anyway, that's the Purl. That's the latest on Purl. And not much else is going on around here. That's what's been happening with us. We're fussing around with Purl. We went to Dennis's parents yesterday for a cookout. His brother and his brother's family came. His son lives in South Carolina. We don't see the girls very often and the grandsons, and it was fun to see them for a little while. And Dennis helped his mom with her computer, and so that was fun, a little family time. And then now today I've got to work in the yard. We have a lot of trees in our yard, and if we're going to mow, I'm going to have to get the sticks off the yard because we accumulate a lot of sticks in the winter. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Anyway, that's it for me. So Zoe and Paula contact me. Congratulations. And thank you so much, everybody who's participating in the Stash KAL 2019 hashtag and in the Craft from Your Stash. And I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. And I will talk to you later. I will definitely do a podcast before we leave, although I realize today's the 14th. So I need to get cracking on this sweater if it's going to make it to Russia. I'm not sure if I'll be doing that or not, but it is lovely yarn to knit with, so maybe I'll get the urge. The problem is I'm having trouble, I have to pay attention to the pattern, and every time I've done those lines with the holes, I've had to take it back and start over because I'm having trouble reading the pattern. I'll show you. I should have mentioned this when I was talking about the sweater. But I am so spoiled. Some of the patterns are written in such a way that it's so easy to follow. But I'm having a lot of trouble. I do this row, and I'm like, every time I have to go back because it's just, you have to substitute the ABC, which is fine. But here, it's like knit two, except it's not two, it's, something else. Anyway, I have had to go back because I am so spoiled. This is a very well-written pattern, I'm quite sure. It's just the formatting of those lines make it really hard for me to follow because I'm a spoiled knitter now, apparently. So anyway, maybe I'll rewrite it out just, because I have to redo that line 5 times with different numbers. Maybe I'll just write it out myself and then be happier with it. I don't know. I'll see what I do. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch. Bye, guys. I can't believe it. I am the worst podcaster. I have goodies. I forgot to show you my goodies. I was going on and on. This is going to end up being a really long podcast, which didn't have to be because maybe I'll edit a lot of stuff out. You don't need that. Okay. So I've walked the dog. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm looking at the table and I bring my stuff to the table. I have a box full of goodies that I forgot to talk about. 3rd cup of coffee. So I did a swap package with Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Who, when after I did my lampworking video, which was, oh, you can see Dennis in the back. Thank you, sweetie. After I did my lampworking podcast, she messaged me and said, hey, I would love to have some beads to make a necklace. Can we do a swap? And I said, oh, absolutely, because I have a lot of beads, and the only way I'm getting yarn this year is if I do a swap, or I win a prize. This is going to go work in the basement. I'm glad I'm not working in the basement. So anyway, so I got a package from her almost 2 weeks ago now, I think. With a sheepy card from Wing and a Prayer Farm in Vermont. She's in New York, and oops, my things fell out. She sent me a Pisces, which is my birth sign. And it's got the lever back, so it's a progress keeper. Actually, these are really good because they can be progress keepers or stitch markers because they're big enough to actually use as stitch markers, so that's nice. Anyway, she sent me yarn. She sent me the cute, well, she's... One thing you're not going to see because she sent me Oreo Minis white chocolate covered. I had no idea they were doing that. Now, I love white chocolate covered Oreos, and they have them only around November and December, which I thought was really saving me, but I'm not sure that it is because, I eat several boxes of them when they're there. So maybe if they were available all the time, I would say no, except I ate the package she sent me, and I have gotten another package, I will admit. So anyway, they're gone. I love those. But she sent me lots of lovely other things. She sent me some beautiful yarn, which I will show you. But aren't these completely adorable? They're magnets, so they're going to go in the fridge. Unfortunately, the front of our fridge doesn't take a magnet. We got a stainless steel fridge, but it'll take it on the side. Or maybe I'll find a place near my chair for these. Aren't they adorable? They are so cute. Now, I don't know if she made these herself or not. She didn't say. But, oh, I thought they were so sweet. She sent me another magnet, too, which I am, dog mom. And this is a car coaster. I have never heard of a car coaster. So this you put at the bottom of your car cup holder so it doesn't get icky, I guess. 4-legged passengers preferred. Cute. And she sent me some tea, short and stout. She had sent me short and stout tea. We first met when we did a swap, I think. Isn't that true, Sarah? I'm sure because you sent me short and stout tea in that. It wasn't this. This is fig and berry. But I think that's how we met. We did an exchange. This is not our first exchange. But I need to go back to Short and Stout and figure out what that other tea was you sent me, because it doesn't have caffeine in it. This is a very cool tea, which I have tried, and I liked it. But the other one, I'm almost out of the other one, and I threw away the bag like a dope, and so I don't remember what it was. I really like it, and it's caffeine-free, which is sometimes what I'm looking for when I am. And she sent me other tea, but she sent me yarn. Oh, and I can tell you, I was so glad that I got her package before I sent my package. I am the worst swap package person. I never get it right in terms of the how much to send versus what I receive. Oh, my first swap package I ever did. I think it was Mina Phillip organized it in her podcast group a couple of years ago. And it was, you were supposed to send things that were local to you, to your recipient. And I exchanged with a lovely young woman in Great Britain. And when I got the package she sent me, I sent her a second package. She sent me so much beautiful stuff and so many lovely things. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I sent a, okay package. It was a nice package, but it wasn't enough. So I ended up sending her a second package. So I was really glad that she sent hers before I sent mine, because I would have had to send Sarah a second package. So, but I did send it, and she should get it tomorrow. She might get it before she even sees this. She sent me yarn. Look at this. This is Cece's wool. I have not heard of this, but look at this beautiful yarn. She asked me what I want. I said any color's fine, but I would rather not have fingering, because I have so much fingering. If you have other weights, that would be great. She was going to send it from her stash. So, obviously anything she would have sent me would have been fine. But isn't this gorgeous? This is worsted weight, 560 yards. Oh my gosh. Isn't that beautiful? This would make a gorgeous sweater. I could find some worsted in my stash. I do have some. And I'll do a Leslie, and I can stripe it or something. Isn't that beautiful? Ugh, I really love it. Cece's wool, the way it's taped on there, it's hard to see. Premium yarn from New York State. Isn't that lovely? And then she sent me a scarf pattern. Sheepish scarf sampler. Isn't that cute? So you're supposed to make a scarf and it ends up being a sheep. And this is presumably the pattern. I haven't actually opened this paper up. I assume it is, and it is. And this is by Amy Bart, B-A-H-R-T. Isn't that cute? And look at these beautiful yarns. And unfortunately, the yarns are not labeled. Isn't that gorgeous? I love this color. So lovely. Let's see what the package says here. Morehouse Merino Sport Weight in contrasting sheep colors. So my guess is this is Morehouse Merino Sport Weight. Isn't that lovely? Oh, I don't know if I'll make a scarf, honestly, with it, because I don't really wear scarves. I wear shawls more than scarves, but it could happen. Or maybe I'll make it as a gift for something. That'd be fun, but I love the colors. Thank you so much. And then last but not least, this is also Cece's wool. Beautiful yarns, expertly dyed in the colors of upstate New York. She's from upstate New York. This is New England Shetland wool, hand-dyed in the fur colorway. Worsted weight, 188 yards. Isn't that beautiful? I love this color. I love this color. It really has a little bit of a brown undertone. It's really, Really gorgeous. Now I wonder, is 188 yards enough to make a hat? It should be. Wouldn't that go gorgeous with my hair? Anyway, I love this color. And I loved my package. Oh, here's another progress keeper she sent me. So I hope she likes her package because mine was wonderful. And I love the yarns so much. It's so much fun to have new yarn. So anyway. So thank you, Sarah. I loved my package. And I hope you like yours as much as I liked mine. And mine didn't need a big box because beads are smaller than yarn. But I hope she likes the beads I sent her. I'm not sure what kind of necklace she'll end up with, but I hope she sends me a picture. And these were all wrapped lovely, but forget it. Well, you know, I opened it. Anyway, this probably will be my last segment of this podcast. We'll see. So anyway, I guess I'll sign off again and cut that other part. Podcasting is funny. Anyway, so I hope you have lots and lots of time to do the crafting that you love. And I hope you find the right needle and yarn that inspires you, or fiber, or whatever you're doing. Anyway, bye.